Hello everyone. Let's create the digital painting of Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of India. So this is the picture of India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So here is the image. We will take the duplicate of the image. Let's not work on the original. So we'll simply hit Ctrl J in PC or Command J in Mac. Right. We can hide the original image. Now next thing is we will mask out the background. So to mask out the background, we will simply use the quick selection tool and we'll click on this select subject. So now we have selected the subject. Now we will just apply a mask to this subject. So we can see mask at the bottom of the layers panel. Right. So we have applied mask to the subject. The next thing we'll be doing is we will simply right click on the mask and we'll select apply layer mask. Right. So this is the image. Now we will start creating a digital painting of the Prime Minister. We'll be using the smudge tool. Here is the smudge tool. We will use the smudge tool to create an oil painting. So in order to create an oil painting, we first need to make the face oily in appearance. So we want an oily face for creating an oil paint. So for that we will apply a filter. So we'll simply go to a filter menu, and in filter menu we will select sharpen, and in sharpen we have the option unsharp mask. So here we will apply unsharp mask filter to the subject, and here we have the amount. So we can slightly increase or decrease the amount. We will keep the amount as 310. So 310, and radius is alright. We'll keep the radius value to 20 pixels. So with these values, now we are all set to use the smudge tool to create a digital painting. Right. So here is the smudge tool, and here we have the strength value for the smudge tool. Let's lower the strength value for the smudge tool to 40%. Right. So now we are all set. Right. So we just have to paint over the skin surface with the smudge tool, and we have to just keep the smudge tool size to a small value. Let's not make it big. So we have to just smear on the face in this manner. So this is a boring step actually, but this is very important here. So we have to create a painting look, and we have to do it like this. We should not increase the size of this tool to a big value. So we have to keep it to a small value. Once we got till here, now let's improve the painting. So we will be using the next tool, that is the dodge tool. We will use the dodge tool to brighten up the highlights on the image. So there are some portions of the face which are bright, so we will use the dodge tool to brighten those regions. So here is the dodge tool, and make sure that the option over here is midtones, and the exposure has to be nearly 50%. Right. So let's just paint the highlights. So here we can see we are painting the highlights here. So just we should not paint everywhere. So here on the lips also we can just paint something like this. Right. Now we will use the opposite tool, that is the burn tool. So we will use the burn tool to paint shadows. So we can see some shadows are the dark areas on the face. So we will make them more dark using the burn tool. So we will activate the burn tool, and then just we will just paint. Okay, let's not paint too much darkness. If we paint 2 times or 3 times, it will become too dark, but we don't want too much darkness, just a reasonable amount of darkness. Right. So something like this. Right. So once we have this, we can also paint some darkness on the lips. Right. So we got till here. Now the next step is, so let's enhance the painting look. So we'll do one thing. So once we got till here, we will make the lips a little bit reddish in color. So for that we will take a new layer, and here we will use the pen tool, and we will just select the lips. We will first select the upper lip. So then we will just adjust them properly here. And we will also select the lower lip. Right. It's okay if we have selected just roughly. Right. So once we have created a path around the lips, now we will use a keyboard shortcut, Control Enter in PC or Command Enter in Mac, to turn the path into a selection. Right. Now we got our selection. Now what we'll be doing is we will just give a very small amount of feather. So here we have just given a feather of 1 pixel, and we will select a pure red color, and we will fill the selection with this red color. We can simply use Alt backspace in PC or Option backspace in Mac. Right. Then we will change the blending mode to multiply. So we can see here. So we have a reddish lips, but we don't want this redness to be too dark. So we have to get the bright spots or highlights on the lips. So for that, what we'll be doing is we'll simply double click on this layer. Double click on the right side of the layer to open the layer styles, and here we can see underlying layer. So underlying layer is the subject layer. So we will just reveal the bright areas on the lips. So for that, what we'll be doing is, here we have the slider, brightness slider. So this is brightness slider. We have to just move it to the left, so we can see we are bringing back the highlights, but we want a smooth transition. We don't want the highlights to be too harsh, so we can split this slider. To split the slider, we can use Alt in PC or Option in Mac and then just move this slider. So we can see we got a smooth transition. Right. So this looks better. And if we think the reddish color on the lips is too dark, we can slightly reduce the opacity. So this looks better. Right. So the next step is, so now we will take a merged copy of this particular layer or of the existing layers. Merged copy is simply a separate layer that is created out of all the existing layers. Instead of merging layers, we can just use a keyboard shortcut to create a merged copy of all the existing layers. So we will simply use the shortcut Ctrl Alt Shift E in PC or Command Option Shift E in Mac. Right. So now we have created a merged copy. The next thing we are supposed to do is, let's create a dual lighting. So what is a dual lighting? We want some extra lighting, that is a colorful lighting on the left and right side of the face. So for that we will take a new layer. We will click this layer to the subject layer. To click the layer, we simply have to use Alt in PC or Option in Mac and click in between the two layers. Once we see the black down pointing arrow, we just have to click. That's it. Now this layer is clicked to the subject. So whatever we do or whatever we paint in this layer will be confined to the subject only. It will not spill on the background. Right. So now we will select the brush. We will select a soft rounded brush and we will create a green color on the left side of the subject. So what we will be doing is we will reduce the flow amount. So let's reduce the flow amount to, let's say, a very small value of 12%. So flow is the power of brush. We don't want the color to be too intense. We want the color to be mild. So 12% flow is enough for the brush. Then we will change the blending mode over here to, let's say, hard light. Right. And let's start painting. The color should be subtle, mild. It should not be too dark. So we can see here there is a green color. So it's very light. And we can also create one more color. Let's select a blue color and we can just create the blue on the right side. And we can also do one more thing, that is we can just select the red color and we can also just slightly paint a red color. So something like this, but we should ensure that it's not too dark. A very mild red and green color. This is dual lighting. Right. So once we got till here, now the next thing is we'll take one more merged copy. So simply we'll use Ctrl Alt Shift E in PC or Command Option Shift E in Mac. Right. Then the next thing we'll be doing is we will create some contrast to the image. So how we can create contrast? We'll simply take a duplicate of the image and we will change the blending mode to overlay. So overlay blending mode will add some extra contrast to the image, but it is too dark. So we can reduce the opacity, or we can do one more thing, that is we can change the blending mode from overlay to soft light. Soft light is comparatively mild, so we can keep soft light and we will slightly reduce the opacity here. So it should not be too harsh, right? Now let's take one more merge copy. So we'll simply use Control Alt Shift E in PC or Command Option Shift E in Mac. So here we have taken one more merge copy. Right. The next step is we will just hit D so that there are no colors in the foreground or background, because now we are going to apply a filter. So what is the filter? So we'll simply go to filter, and here we have the filter gallery. And in filter gallery, here we can see plenty of artistic filters. We can see here. We can see fresco. We can see watercolor. We can also see paint daubs. So many things. But we will select dry brush here. Dry brush looks nice. So here we have to just check the brush size here. So if you try to increase the brush size, it doesn't look realistic. So we will keep the brush size to 0, and here the brush detail has to be maximum. So we'll simply drag the brush detail slider, which has to be maximum. Okay, so now it looks like just a rough painting. First we will simply click OK. So we got like this, but this doesn't look realistic. We have to get a painting look. So what we'll be doing is we will apply a hide all mask to this. So we'll simply hold Alt in PC or Option in Mac and simply click on this mask icon at the bottom of the layers panel. Right. Now what we'll be doing is we will paint the same filter, but the effect of that filter has to be subtle or mild. So we will slightly increase the flow amount here. Let's not keep it to a big value. 30% is alright, and make sure that the foreground color is white. And we will now try to just paint, so we can see. So we just have to paint with a low flow value so that it doesn't look artificial. It looks like a actual painting. So this much is enough. Right. So now this looks better. Right. So now we will take one more merged copy. Simply we will use Control Alt Shift E in PC or Command Option Shift E in Mac, and we will use some adjustments. So we will just apply a curves adjustment here. So we can slightly reduce the brightness here, so we can see here. Right. We can slightly reduce it. Let's not reduce it too much. And then we will also use hue and saturation adjustment to just change the hue here. So we can see. So we can change the hue, and we can just get some colors that resemble painting, but we have to just increase the hue value by a small value. We have to just increase the slider to a small value, that's it. We should not make it too intense. Right, this looks all right. Right, so now we will use one more adjustment, that is color balance. So if you want to increase the green color or red color, we can increase those colors, or blue color for that matter. So we can increase the green here, and we can also increase the red here. So something like this. Right. Perfect. So now we just have some final things to do, that is we can add a brightness contrast here. So we'll simply just apply a brightness contrast adjustment. So we can just slightly increase the contrast. So we can see, we can also slightly increase the brightness or lower the brightness. So just slightly we have to lower the brightness value, that's it. Right. So now we have just a few more things to do. That is, we'll create a background here. So to create a background, so we need to do something. We have to just increase the size of our document. We will activate the crop tool. Simply we need to hit C. Right. So then we will take one final merge copy here. Control Alt Shift E in Mac or Command Option. Sorry, Control Alt Shift E in PC or Command Option Shift E in Mac. Right. And now we will apply a mask to this, and we will just erase the bottom portions. So we will just hide all the bottom layers. We can simply hold Alt in PC or Option in Mac and click on this eye symbol. So we will just erase the bottom portions. We can increase the flow amount. So something like this. Right. So then we'll create some nice background. We'll just position the Prime Minister at the center, and we will create some nice background here. So to create a layer below the active layer, we will simply use Control in PC or Command in Mac and click on the create new layer icon at the bottom of the layers panel. Right. So now we have created a layer below the subject layer. Right. The next step is, now we will use a powder brush. So a powder brush I have downloaded from brusheasy.com. So if you want the same brush, I will provide the link for the brush in the description. So we need to make this brush small, and we will create a red color background. So here we have created a powder brush. So we will also use a lighter color. So we'll again use the darker color. So we'll just create different colors here. So we'll again use a lighter color here. So something like this. So in this way we can create some nice backgrounds, and we will create one more lighter color, and we will just paint at the center here. Right. So this is a powder brush, and one last thing we can do is we will just take one more layer, and we will just use a gradient. We will use an India flag gradient. So we can just select the gradient colors. So we will use orange, and we will create the next one is white, and we will create one more color, that is green. These are the colors of India flag. So we will keep these colors. And we can do one thing, we can just create the gradient here. So we got the gradient, but we want the orange color to be top. So we can see, and we can slightly reduce the white amount here. So just we have to create it one more time. Right. So now what we'll be doing is we'll just drag this layer below the subject layer, and we can actually blend. We can use a blend. So we can just blend the colors here, and I think we got some disturbance over here. So we'll just get rid of the disturbance. We can simply just delete this. Right. So this is the digital painting of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Please do like, subscribe, share, and if you have anything to say, do comment. See you again.